turned the block round, so what we're going to do now is remove the right hand engine cover. Underneath here is the clutch, and this is the release shaft, clutch release shaft. So first thing is to get this shaft out. So that is an 8mm. Let's undo that. That should just come out like that. Okay, so that's the shaft out, and you can just about see that there's a needle roller bearing in it and an oil seal on top. What they're saying is that every time that release shaft comes out, you need to replace the oil seal, but we'll be replacing all the seals and bearings as standard in this build. So we've already removed the water pump casing, and one of the reasons, as a reminder, that we're rebuilding this is that the water pump impeller has sheared off the front balancer shaft. When that happened, it released the pressure on the seal, and all the oil from oil side and the water from the water side mixed together, hence the goo inside the casing. Now the release shaft is out, we can take the right hand engine cover off. Now, I suppose there are various methods to do it, but I've got one of these, which is a decorator's stripping tool, and it's got a nice thin flat edge, so we could probably just insert that very gently between the gasket and the actual cover itself, and gently give it one of those. Let's try it at this end as well. Perhaps give it one of these too. I think that's looking fairly hopeful. Let's give it one of those. Yeah, there we go. That's given some movement. So hopefully that will now, yep, gently pull. Oh, there's a bit of oil coming out. Oh! It actually looks like oil as opposed to an oil water mix that's been flowing out for days. Let's try a little bit. Let's try one under here. Hopefully that has loosened up. There we go. Something fell out there. Well, look at that. That's flat for a start and torn. That is the oil strainer, and it goes in there. That simply is not like that at all. Anyway, new one of those required. Having got the casing off, this is an interesting find. It is a KLR 600 kickstart idler gear, and kickstart was never officially fitted to the 650 engine, although it is possible to fit it and add it using 600cc parts. Sadly, most of the parts are not available nowadays direct from Kawasaki, so eBay would be the best bet, and even then parts are still very difficult to come by. The kickstart shaft will sit in the back here and stick out of the right hand engine casing. Next we remove these 5 bolts that are holding the clutch springs in place, or compressing the clutch springs. And we need to sort of do it relatively evenly, so sort of a bit like that, I think, so let's give that a go. So it's now a question of removing the clutch plates and the friction plates. Now these are all going to get replaced, the whole unit, as it seems pointless getting it all to bits without replacing it. And I think the engine's probably done about 30,000 miles, so we'd replace it, of course, although yeah, I think that's fairly worn, to be honest with you. Right, that's them all out. The next operation to look at is getting the clutch housing and the clutch hub off, and that requires a 30mm socket on that nut. Turn it round, take that off, the whole lot comes off. The only problem with it is, of course, is the fact that you do that and immediately the whole thing turns round. So a clutch holder is required. Have I been sensible enough to buy one up front? Of course I haven't. And the chance of getting one anytime soon are looking slim. So I'm going to have to make one. Now this steel joining bar is actually ideal. These holes happen to almost be in the right place. So the thing clearly to do would be to halve that, bolt one half of it there, the other half there, and weld a handle to it, and that would then give me the necessary stay to get that 30mm socket on and get that bolt off. So the next thing to do is to make the clutch holder tool. Having tried to get the clutch basket off without the correct tools and the engine only supported on blocks of wood, it clearly wasn't working. So I spent yesterday building this engine frame and the tool with which to take the clutch basket off. But I think actually this will have benefits long run, as well, as it's certainly much better supported, and I can tip the engine up on the pivot point here, and so it's almost not quite vertical, but when it comes to putting the barrel and cylinder head back on, it's actually going to make it much easier. But anyway, we'll see how we get on, and let's get that clutch basket off. Bolstered me homemade tool, got the trusty DeWalt impact wrench, and let's give it a go. There we go, that's off, not quite. Job done. There's a washer in here. Pull that off. And undo the tool, which is that one. So these spacers I've put on the towers of the hub underneath the tool, and it's just, you can just see there's two still in there, and what is just allowing the tool to sit proud without clouting the edge of the clutch housing. There's a washer on the back of the housing. Let's pull off the housing now in its entirety. Okay. And finally the spacer on the end here. Let's get rid of that.